Hey guys, welcome back to Genshin Impact. Today we're going to be doing some content for you guys, huh? How about that? In today's video we're going to be discussing the new character Cyno, as well as Candace, but mainly talking about Cyno and how we are going to build him and a team entirely around this character that will be coming in 3.1. Supposedly, this is all alleged, of course, thanks to the wonderful information from honeyhunterworld.com. Shout out Honey Hunter, we love them and their content. We're going to be utilizing their information to create this video for you guys. As we all know, everything on that site is subject to change, as well as the fact that it is completely alleged and not exactly indicative of any final product that Genshin Impact is creating here today. But with all that said, let's get into the video. So as far as a team comp goes, this is the slot that the team is going to end up lining up in. We're going to have to build the team around these 4 characters because 2 of the characters are not in the game yet. Diona will be our main healer. We will have the Dendro Traveler, we will have Cyno, and Candace. Assuming Candace is on the same banner as Cyno, that information we do not fully know yet, and assuming that we get all of these characters. If we don't get Candace, this last slot will most likely be filled with Sucrose, and then we can change this team up when we get Kazuha. But for now, looking at this team prospectively, this is the squad we're going to be building for Cyno. Now, Cyno is an Electro Polearm user. He scales with attack percent, and with the Staff of Scarlet Sands, he will be scaling a little bit more into damage with Elemental Mastery. This is the crux of the build as well as the team comp, so Cyno will be surrounded by characters that will buff him, and then he will be carrying the team with as much damage as we can possibly get him to output. So first things first, we're looking at Diona here. Diona will be running Tenacity of the Millilith, along with a Sacrificial Bow. We don't have her artifact set ready or fleshed out, except for this one artifact, which is the off-piece, which is, obviously very, very great to start your artifact set with an off-piece. You never know. But I think this is a pretty good starting artifact for our Diona. The crux of Diona here is at C6, at her 6th constellation, Cat's Tail closing time. The characters within the signature mix, which is her ultimate ability, her burst, if you will, when characters are above 50% HP, Elemental Mastery is increased by 200. So we can put that on the screen and talk about all the ways we're buffing Elemental Mastery, and we will get into Staff of the Scarlet Sands here momentarily, as it will pertain to his Elemental Mastery damage scaling. So Diona comes with the cryo damage and the shields and the healing. She will be able to provide a lot of energy as well, thanks to Sacrificial Bow coming in with lots of particles. She will be giving Tenacity of the Millilith as well, which we can see here will provide 20... excuse me, let me read this. Tenacity of the Millilith and Maiden's Beloved to give as much healing and HP value as we possibly can for this character. Right now she only has one piece, and it's her off piece, but it's pretty good. There's a lot of value here. So we're probably not going to change it anytime soon. Next up, we have the Dendro Traveler. Dendro Traveler is our Elemental Mastery battery, the one that will be providing the most Elemental Mastery and the most consistent Elemental Mastery on this team. Again, if we do not get Candace, who buffs Cyno in a different way, then we will be using Sucrose, who will be another battery, probably giving upwards of 200 Elemental Mastery as well. Dendro Traveler is a solid battery, as well as being a Dendro character and being able to apply Dendro pretty quickly. We'll be getting a lot of Aggravate reactions, which will further be increased by Cyno's artifact set, which we will talk about soon. But we're talking about the Traveler right now, so let's look at the Sapwood Blade. The Sapwood Blade right now at level 80, Refinement 4. The stats don't really matter, so we're not super worried about that. The refinement does matter, as we will look into it. When the Dendro Traveler has a Dendro-related reaction, a Leaf of Consciousness will be created around the character, and when this is picked up, the character that picks it up will be granted 105 Elemental Mastery for 12 seconds. So there's 105 Elemental Mastery, along with Diona's 200. So we're at 305 Elemental Mastery already. Looking at her set, we will be running a full Gilded Dreams set. Look at me, I already have a Dendro Goblet. We want to be running the Gilded Dreams 4-piece set. Upon further review, I noticed that the Gilded Dreams set does not in fact buff characters in the rest of the party, however, just the character equipping the set. So the Dendro Traveler will be running the 4-piece Instructor set, providing 120 Elemental Mastery to the rest of the party, instead of Gilded Dreams, which does not provide Elemental Mastery to the rest of the party. Plus, here you can see Lelea Lotus Lamp, which is the ultimate ability, the burst here from the Traveler. Will obtain 1 level of Overflowing Lotus Light every second it is on the field, increasing the elemental mastery of active characters within its AoE by 6. Overflowing Lotus Light has a maximum of 10 stacks. So in 10 seconds, with the ult on the field, by the way, the ult lasts 12 seconds plus 3 seconds, so 15 seconds. Thanks to her second constellation, we will have 60 additional elemental mastery, giving us a total of, what, 520? 515, I think. The actual number will be on the screen. I'll do the math later. It's fine. Then we will have Cyno. Here is Cyno. Obviously, we don't actually have the character yet, because the character has yet to come out. This is all conjecture. This is all theory. Cyno will be a polearm user, however, and will be running the Staff of Scarlet Sands, which has a crit rate substat similar to the Black Sword you can see here. At level 90 will be around 44 crit rate, supposedly, and will be providing buffs as such. Heat Haze at Horizon's End. The equipping character gains 52% of their elemental mastery as bonus attack. When an elemental skill hits opponents, the Dream of Scarlet Sands effect will be gained for 10 seconds. The equipping character will gain 28% of their elemental mastery as bonus attack for 3 stacks. Overall, this will end up being 136% of elemental mastery will count as bonus attack. This is a huge buff that will be coming, a great character passive coming from this Staff of Scarlet Sands, and the crux of this whole build really going to be creating a lot of our bonus damage for Cyno as we continue to grow. The artifact set will be a 4-piece Thundering Fury set, which was recently buffed with the Dendro reactions coming out. All the same as before, with a new description including the damage bonus conferred by Aggravate is increased by 20%. When Quicken or the aforementioned elemental reactions are triggered, elemental skill cooldown is decreased by 1 second, can only occur every 0.8 seconds. So this decreased by 1 second is going to be a huge help for Cyno, as he already has a short skill cooldown. Being able to drop it by an entire second is going to be really nice for his DPS, as well as his energy production. He's just going to be able to really push out some huge damage with his skill, which will be further buffed by his ultimate ability, which we can see also has an elemental mastery buff of 100. So an additional 100 elemental mastery added to his total, which can push him further up. With as far as his specific artifacts, will be having an Electro Damage Goblet and most likely an Elemental Mastery Sands. And the Sands will be Elemental Mastery, as you can see here, will be an extra 187 Elemental Mastery coming in for for Cyno. This is going to be a lot of value. He's going to be able to really pump up his damage, and I think that this will end up being more valuable than an attack percent goblet would be, despite having a high base attack. Attack percent does have a lot of value. We're going to be getting flat attack buffs from Elemental Mastery and having a lot of value coming from the Staff of Scarlet Sands as well as Elemental Mastery as far as attack scaling goes. We probably will do some math later to actually confirm whether an Elemental Mastery Sands or an attack percent Sands is going to be more valuable at the end. I guess it all depends on where the math is happening. And after doing the math, it actually turns out that the attack percent Sands gives 130 more attack than the Elemental Mastery Sands would. Based on a level 90 Cyno and a level 90 Staff of Scarlet Sands, the attack percent Sands will give 383 attack, whereas the Elemental Mastery Sands, based off of the Staff of Scarlet Sands weapon passive, the Elemental Mastery Sands would give 254 attack. So Cyno should probably be using the attack percent Sands. If you're going to level him all the way up to level 90, you're going to have a ton of base attack. Attack percent is going to give a lot more value than the Elemental Mastery would. And you can see here with the final Elemental Mastery totals, you have 585 Elemental Mastery being buffed from all of the different sources, plus any EM that will come from the artifacts. The Staff of Scarlet Sands will provide Cyno 795.6 attack, again adding any additional Elemental Mastery that will come on the artifacts. As far as our last character goes, we plan on using Candace. Candace will be a character, hopefully praying, will be on the same banner as Cyno that I hope to wish for when he finally comes. Yunjin is the stand-in, as the characters are actually pretty similar. Candace will buff elemental normal attacks, so a high-value support utility character for characters like Hu Tao, for characters like Arataki Ito, for characters like Aloy, for Catalyst users. D-Luke will gain value from that. Child will gain value from that. Bennett will gain value. Chongyun is a character. Goodness. Noelle will gain value from that. Where are my other characters? Kaching will gain value. Oh, I don't own. Ayaka was the one I was looking for. I don't have Ayaka. Ayaka will gain value from that as well. Any character that has a elemental normal attack will be gaining damage from Candace, similar to Yunjin's normal attack buff passives that she has. Another one would be Kamisato Ayato, who also has normal attack damage buffs going on. So Candace is going to be a high-value character for that. She's a Hydro Polearm user. She will be using Black Tassel, as all of her damage multipliers are based solely on HP. Her normal attacks are normal. They have attack scaling, which is fine. It's all good. We don't plan on using her to normal attack very often. However, her damage numbers from her talents are HP percent, similar to Yunjin's defense percent, although you can see here on her skill, she has attack scaling, which is bad. Split scaling is bad. Candace does not have any split scaling. All of her damage multipliers on her skill and her burst are HP dependent, so you can see that all of her damage will be coming from HP, which is why a 3-star weapon like the Black Tassel, the passive, obviously, is a shame. We're not really getting any value from that. The base attack does not matter at all, and the HP percent is our base damage scaler. So having a max HP, HP percent has huge value. Base HP has the same value as base attack would. So leveling Candace up to 90 is going to be a lot more value because base attack does go up with leveling. Please stop doing that. You're distracting me, Yunjin. Candace will also, she will be buffing normal attacks that have elemental damage on them by 20%, which I think is a nice increase to the multiplier there. Candace will be running a Noblesse Oblige set, which I currently have affixed to my Xingqiu until he can get his own Emblem of Severed Fate set. You can see here the artifact set is completed. This is an artifact This is an artifact strongbox set that we built for Yellen. I did not end up going for Yellen, but this is the set we are running. It's a fan-freaking-tastic hydro damage HP scaling set. Obviously, attack percent doesn't really matter, so this piece isn't as good. But you can see here, energy recharge, crit rate, crit damage, HP. That's a frickin' S+, perfect artifact. Elemental Mastery obviously could be valuable as well. We have here crit rate, energy recharge, elemental mastery, and crit damage. Perfect. Hydro damage bonus with 10 crit rate and 9.9 HP percent and a crit damage. Circlet with 12.1 crit rate, 5.8 HP percent, and an additional 538 HP. There's a lot of value coming from this set across the board, as well as a 20% attack percent buff that will be working for Cyno and our other characters, of course, but Cyno is our main and really honestly only source of damage, although I think with this build we actually will be able to see a good bit of damage come from our Candace should we actually try to get her there. Obviously with the Black Tassel, we are also gaining 42.8 HP percent, which is pretty good value for a 3-star weapon substat. At level 80, we will be able to increase it more, and we can actually potentially get there tomorrow as of recording. And we probably will, just because that HP percent is the only thing valuable on this weapon. We want to maximize it as much as possible. Again, base attack and our passive on the Black Tassel doesn't really matter. Obviously, increasing damage against slimes by 80% isn't a huge value, as it doesn't do anything on any other enemies. But Candace will be able to take out slimes pretty well. Before we end it, why don't we quickly break down all of these damage multipliers that we have. So we will have the Superconduct reaction, which does cryo damage. Nothing too crazy going there. We don't have any physical damage carries, so that's not really something we need to talk about. The main one will be Aggravate, which after Dendro has been applied to an enemy, when Electro inflicts those enemies, you will have the Aggravate reaction, which deals Electro damage based 1.15 times... 1.15 times your... or plus your character level. Something like that. It's a flat damage number. I don't exactly know how the multiplier works or when it is added. I think it's a separate instance of damage as opposed to Melt or Vaporize, which increase your initial hit damage. I think Aggravate is similar to Overload, which is a separate instance of damage. So you will be getting multiple instances of damage on single targets, which is actually pretty nice. It's just additional damage that you wouldn't be getting normally, which is high value. So Aggravate will be our main reaction source, although I don't think that reactions are super necessary for these characters. Obviously, Aggravate is going to be our primary reaction as far as increasing elemental mastery for our Cyno, as the Dendro Traveler will be providing a lot of elemental mastery only when elemental reactions are occurring. So her ultimate is going to be a primary source of that. The Dendro Traveler will be... her artifacts are basically just there for energy recharge. Obviously, she provides everything for the rest of her team. The stats and the substats on these do not matter. So we'll just build her for... we'll probably use energy recharge sands. We'll have the Dendro damage just because we got lucky. I probably won't switch out this artifact. And most likely we'll use a crit rate substat just to get a little bit more consistent damage coming out of her, because we don't have anything else planned for her as far as weaponry. We have the Sapwood Blade, which has energy recharge on it. We don't really care about these pieces. It's all very good, it's all very fun, it's all very great, but her character is mostly based on providing a single elemental reaction to get a leaf and as much energy, elemental mastery as she can possibly provide, and then getting off the field. Then Cyno will take the field. He will use his Thundering Fury. He will use his Thundering Fury to shorten the cooldown on his skills, if possible, and he will be dealing as much damage as possible with as much elemental mastery as he possibly can. If we can hit over 1,000 elemental mastery with all of the buffs we have, he will be gaining over 1,300 attack from the Staff of Scarlet Sands passive when it is fully stacked. So you being able to use 3 skills and then using your ultimate ability will increase your elemental mastery by a further 100, then being able to really dish out some serious damage numbers moving forward. That's kind of the crux of the team. Obviously, we have Candace also increasing those damage numbers by 20%, as they will be elemental normal damage attacks. She will be able to buff those, as well as provide a counter skill similar to Yunjin and Beidou, as she has a counter like them. She will be able to buff them as well as provide a little bit of Hydra damage, which Electrocharge isn't the greatest, but it is another elemental reaction we can use for Cyno to shorten the cooldown on his skill. Plans as far as talents go: Diona will be 188, Dendro Traveler will be 188, or in this case, actually, she'll probably stay just like this, 268. You don't really need to upgrade her talents. They literally only provide damage upgrades. As you can see here, there are no buffs to be had here. You don't get an increased amount of duration on your ultimate. You don't get more energy or anything. It's just damage numbers, so you don't really need to buff them because her damage numbers are pretty bad. Here at level 8, the basic attack is 128%. Not very good. 323 isn't terrible at level 6, but it's just she's not going to be having a huge amount of attack anyway, because we're going to be building her purely for support purposes, so damage doesn't really matter on her. Cyno will be 188, as his ultimate ability increases his damage numbers and has its own multiplier similar to Raiden Shogun. As you can see here, she has a separate set of multipliers here that count as her normal attack damage numbers when she's in her ultimate ability. She does not need to upgrade her normal attack skills themselves, as these numbers will be providing the actual damage multipliers. So it's not necessary to upgrade the skills or the normal attack of Cyno. You can skip it and do his skill and his ultimate, which will increase his damage number as much as possible. Then Yunjin will also be level 188 across the board. 188 is the value. Again, I probably won't touch the Dendro Traveler, so 268. This was a mistake. Don't at me. I don't know why I did that. So that's the team as far as we have prepared for it so far. Let me know what you guys think. If there's a better team out there, surely we can look into it as well. Cyno gains increased resistance to interruption when he's in his ult, so I don't think I need Zhongli Shield as much as the defense shredding is valuable as well. I don't like to use repeat characters in other teams, with the exclusion of Bennett. Dude, I hate Bennett so much, but he's actually like such a freaking good character. It really pisses me off. So until they give me another Pyro healer, he's going to stay in the Hu Tao team. It's just annoying, but whatever. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys have any comments, suggestions, questions, or concerns, let me know in the comments down below. Sorry that I don't make content very often on the YouTube channel. Not often enough for someone who's aspiring to do this. Well, you know, it's a hobby, I guess. You know, I don't have a good excuse, but, you know, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit a like. You know, shout out. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.